2414 is a podcast about finding hope and common ground through casual conversation. Like the friends on the road in the New Testament, in Luke chapter 24, verse 14, we want to walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. Thanks for walking with us.
Shane, my thoughts and prayers go out to you.
Thank you. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers.
Hey, I'm Pastor Dan. That's Shane Welter. Our thoughts and prayers go out to you, good listeners. It's kind of it's a very normal thing to say and also a really weird thing to say.
I don't remember it being as common as it is today, said.
Yeah, I don't know when that originated, but we're going to talk about what thoughts and prayers could mean.
And
maybe where it's a little bit light, and maybe where it's actually really profound and beautiful.
Yeah.
So we'll get there.
Yeah, more than just the statement of it, but diving into
what does that actually mean? What could it mean?
Or how can you actually do it?
Yeah, how do you do that? So we're going to talk about thoughts and prayers. But first, also, by the way, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This is 2414. We're a podcast about just having regular life, real conversation. Our logo has these two speech bubbles that come together, and there's this path that meets and goes off in the distance. And I think that really captures what we're doing today. It's just me and Shane, but we hope as listeners and viewers, you get to be part of the conversation, listening to our conversation, but also continuing that conversation with others. Mm-hmm. And that looks like real life, talking about real life. And to get us into that, we'd like to start with highs and lows each week, happy, crappy, peaks and pits. There's other ways of saying, what's a discouraging, hard, frustrating thing, and what's a positive, joyful celebration thing. Then we're going to play one round of Outburst, backed by popular demand, and then we'll send thoughts and prayers at each other aggressively.
At each other.
So, Shane, high and low, and then when it comes to putting together puzzles, is it board puzzles? I was going to call jigsaw puzzles. That's the word.
Yeah, conventional puzzle.
Yeah, not like word puzzles or
puzzle games.
But when it comes to assembling a jigsaw puzzle, what do you do that annoys other people?
Ooh, okay.
So what's your least popular jigsaw puzzle, attribute?
That was probably the most niche question I've heard on the show yet.
Believe it or not, I got dozens of emails asking this week. Pastor Dan, when it comes to Shane and puzzles, what is uniquely annoying about him? And I said, let me tell you.
This is the question taking America by storm. Okay.
Highs and lows, puzzle, foible. I don't know.
Highs and lows. Lows, it's a pretty just non-deep low. I feel like a lot of times I say I'm tired, I'm unproductive, something just in my soul that's just awry. But my low, honestly, on Lauren and I hosted a friend from Spokane over this past weekend, and when she arrived, she hasn't seen our place. She drove all the way from Spokane. I was cutting apples when she got here, and I just sliced deep into my thumb. I won't show you. Okay. But I did it was just but it was just she just got there. And I was I don't know what to do. I don't want to make a thing out of it. So I just casually rinsed off my thumb and
put
was
it in your pocket.
Well, I was in the kitchen. Luckily, we were all there, so it was just really just cover putting pressure on it. Paper towel. It was just. It was pretty gory and whatever. And so I finally sanitized and wrapped it tightly in Band-Aids, and it's okay. And it's been annoying me so much because it's just on a spot in my thumb. It keeps rubbing against things.
Okay.
So
thanks. Sorry.
Cut my thumb. No, it's fine. I'll take a physical painful low. With that, on that same day for my high, I was able to play basketball again, which I think was my high a week or two back. But this week, because Lauren and her friend went out to a concert that night, and I went to the community center to ball up, and I ended up playing basketball for over 4 hours. Whoa. And I was meeting a ton of people and just playing with a lot of people. The flip side of that, the day before, I lifted legs and I did some calf raises.
Okay.
I could not walk. Once I got home, I was waddling all over. My calves were in so much pain. but it was just so fun too. Like I've seen a lot of those people playing before because Lauren and I go to the community center every now and then to work out, but like not for me to play basketball.
Okay.
So I met a lot of those people, heard a few of their like kind of stories, like what they do, like and other things. It was really, really awesome. Like,
all right.
And it's just like, these are like, random people in Federal Way. Like,
cool.
It's really, really awesome, like, to do. So, random, or no, what is it? A jigsaw puzzle thing.
Yeah.
I do that.
When you do jigsaw puzzles and somebody doesn't have the same strategy as you, how do you annoy them?
Yeah.
Or what is unique to your approach?
Yeah, I guess unique to my approach was I think I get a little too obsessive over it.
Okay.
Like
we're not going to bed until we finish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there's like I can't stop. I have zero self-restraint. like the whole
Shane, I'm
purpose.
tired.
Too tough.
Suck it up, Lauren.
Yeah, tough. We're like, this is incomplete. How can you go to sleep with this puzzle?
I like it.
Incomplete.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
my little brother and I have a story like that.
I said
It was a dark time.
I might have heard. I might have heard it, but maybe our listeners have someday. But yeah, it's. I just don't know when to stop.
Okay.
It's pretty rough.
I can see that about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know what to say. Like, if I can compare that to anything else, like in life, maybe work, I guess. But puzzles, it's so like tangible, like there. Like I can see, like
It's objectively incomplete.
yeah, like all right. Like I'll pick this up later, and I'll put that piece there. Like, well, I'll just do it now. so that's
Walk away.
probably my annoyance. All right, for you.
Oh, good.
Highs, lows, and your puzzle pet peeve.
Yeah. One is kind of a high and low is I had some good friend time this week, just getting together with people, and that was a significant high and a good celebration. But the low part of that is I realized how rare that's been in my life. Like I don't know if it's time management or just too many things I'm trying to do or not prioritizing things, but it was this moment where I had a good evening with friends, and then it was like, I don't think I have any friends. Like this was so exceptional. Like, oh, people like get together and laugh with friends. Like that's a normal thing people do. Oh, like I have good friendships and relationships, but so many of them are part of commitments and structure.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. That counts. So like I'm a volunteer track coach, and I have people I see and like love in cross country, especially. We spend hours each week in the rain talking together and doing life, but I don't ever have a beer or coffee with them. Like they don't know my brother's name or
I think it's so different when you can like set apart from like your obligation, quote unquote. Like like with that, I know I feel that too. Like I echo that so much. Like
and church has always been weird for me. I don't know that I've solved it, and I think there are different pastors in particular who have very different approaches of like a hard boundary or, hey, I'm not pastor, I'm just Dan. Like, no, but I am your pastor. And like, that is something. Yeah. And so so many of the people I know and love and care about are church members. And what does it mean to be a friend there?
Yeah. Is there that's still that boundary, like
how do I be your pastor well, but also I'm just a normal person who needs people and friends? So that's kind of a weird low of like, oh, I have all these people I love and love me, and yet I don't have a lot of friends. Anyway, just feeling that feels kind of downer, but that's okay. That's my low. Positive. That's honest. Positive is I've had some good friend time and it felt exceptional. But some good time laughing and playing games. And then my other high is started a new book. Oh. So I read at night. I read fiction. I read a lot of things. I typically read like nonfiction in the morning or in the evenings, and then a work of fiction as I'm going to bed. So I just finished reading the Chronicles of Narnia again, and so that was fun.
That's what
I just finished.
Book?
No, I just finished those, and I hadn't read some of them. I don't think I ever read Silverchair before or The Last Battle.
I've only read the first one and the Chronicles of Narnia.
Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe.
So I finished that, and then I'm actually reading a book that I've read before, and I don't know, I'm 80 pages in, and it's very fun. oh yeah, I like this book, or this is a good author, or they write so differently than other authors, and just kind of, I think probably especially the first time I read a story, I'm so focused on plot and characters that I don't get to appreciate the writing.
Yeah.
So having read this book before, but years ago, so I know the basic gist of the story, but I've forgotten a lot of the details. So I'm reading it again, and I'm just enjoying the phrases, and I find myself reading a paragraph again, not for information, but ooh, I like how he said that.
Like the author, or like,
yeah,
okay.
So I'm reading it, but I'll go back and read a paragraph again. Sometimes that's because I was dozing off or zoning out, and I don't know what's happening. But this last week, it's been, ooh, that paragraph was so enjoyable to read. I want to read it again.
Yeah. Well, are you sure what?
Oh,
it
sure.
is?
Yeah.
No, I was like, is there
wasn't some like ominous thing?
like, is this illegal? Like,
No. It's not a Christian book. Especially the second book in the series has some weird content. But The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It's kind of world building, high fantasy.
The Name of the Wind.
The Name of the Wind.
Okay.
So sci-fi.
Is that the name of the book or series?
That's the name of the book. I think it's called like the King Killer Chronicles. It's a 3-part series.
Okay.
And the first 2 books came out, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, and the third book still isn't out.
Oh, it's like a George R. R.
Martin kind of thing. And I think what happened, and I've seen some interviews with the guy, Rothfuss is his name, Patrick Rothfuss. He's actually been in therapy over this, like the amount of pressure he's felt to finish it, because the first 2 books are so good.
Yeah.
And he kind of committed, like, hey, this is a 3-book trilogy, and he had an outline for how it's supposed to go, but the first 2 went so well and had such an incredible reception that he's literally had to seek professional counseling.
I believe
with the anxiety and the stress of trying to live up to what he did.
Yeah.
And so he hasn't published it. So it's just been years of waiting. And the longer he waits, the more people get frustrated, which puts more pressure on him, which makes him all the less healthy.
Well, it has to be if you're taking this much time to write it, it's got to be that much better, which is all relative. So
it's weird. So the first 2 books are amazing. Third book, he might die first. And who knows? Maybe there'll be just this fan fiction where different people try to solve it and write it all.
They'll find half of his writing,
manuscript, a bunch of doodles.
Yeah.
So The Name of the Wind, it's a delightful book. It's kind of weird.
Fantasy fiction.
Yeah. World building kind of thing.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. My annoying
your
puzzle quality. Here's how I annoy Charlotte. My kids, I don't annoy them with this, but they end up annoying me. You get the border often done first. Mm-hmm. And then Charlotte, my wife, she'll usually get pieces of the same color, or she'll work on the hot air balloon, or she'll take a chunk and work on that. What I do is I will pick up one piece, then I will look at the box cover, find where it goes, x-axis, y-axis style, and then I put it on the middle of the table with no reference, nothing around it. That's just where it goes.
Yeah.
And
if the whole puzzle were put into place, your piece would still be right.
That's where it goes. I solved where this piece goes with no reference around it for inches. And so Charlotte, she's looking for pieces because she's collecting them to build whatever the birdhouse, and I've got the one bird just over here because that's where it goes, and she's trying to find the thing. My kids annoy me because they don't realize I have the system, even though I told them I had the system. That they'll sit down and their big sweatshirt sleeves will just swipe them.
Clear all the pieces.
I spent 40 minutes laying these 3 pieces exactly where they go, and Titus sneezed, and now they're gone. So all of my work is wasted. Whereas Charlotte, who's actually putting the puzzle together, her work can sustain a sneeze.
Yeah.
So nobody wins with my system. I annoy them, they annoy me.
We'd win together. We'll do our own puzzle.
That's how I puzzle. So yeah, there you go. All right, we're gonna do a round of Outburst, the game of verbal explosions.
Yes, the game of 80s. I just love that this game is dated back from the 80s. So if you've never watched or heard an episode of 2414, we love playing a round of a quick game. It's either been Outburst or newer game called Wheels versus Doors.
Yep.
But Outburst, it's it's a game like Jeopardy almost. Not Jeopardy, sorry. Family Feud.
Or Trivial Pursuit.
Or Trivial Pursuit, but
Yeah, more like Family Feud. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a topic, and you have to name like the survey says the top 10 answers within that category. The catch is this game we just found in like some drawer, and it's from the 80s, so everything's very out of date.
I think it's worth clarifying. This is not like Outburst, the 80s edition from people looking backwards. This was just a contemporary game that was published in the 80s.
Yeah.
And we're looking back as somewhat outsiders with a lot of distance. So we're trying to guess, whatever 30, 40 years ago, what were people thinking of when they thought of this category?
Yeah. So we have to gotta tastefully figure these out.
I don't know even. I got one here.
Okay.
So I'm going to flip the timer. I'm going to say the category. I'm going to flip the timer. And then we have some amount of time based on the white sand in this thing, 30 seconds, a minute. We don't know. Never timed it.
Who knows?
And we are going to outburst and say all the things we can think of to try to get the top 10. You're welcome to play along at home. If you are driving, be safe. Pull over if you need to. Or, have your passenger take notes for you after we have finished our round. We will guess how many we think we got of the 10, then we'll reveal the answers.
That's it.
So the category, Shane, it's the first one. I don't know what they're even asking.
I love it.
The category is Super Bowl losers.
Oh my.
So
okay.
As of 1986 or whenever this game came out, top 10 answers, Super Bowl losers, go.
Bills.
Wow, okay.
4 times.
Bills.
I'm not going to say the date, but I'm
Cowboys. Are we just, you think it's teams or is it like people? Joe Montana.
I didn't even think about that.
Or like Bill Belichick. I mean, is it owners? Is it John Madden?
In the 80s? John Madden.
Who was a bad team? The Packers?
What? I guess they
the Rams. Name all the football teams.
Do we just name all the football teams? Yeah.
Patriots.
Yeah.
The Oilers.
Yeah, I like that.
What's another 80s team? Were there any other 80s teams?
Cardinals were
the St. Louis Cardinals at some point. Yeah.
At some point.
The St. Louis
Bears,
Cardinals.
Vikings. There we go.
Rams.
Dolphins. Rams.
Other football, were the Ravens a team? Who knows?
Sure, why not?
Who was a big loser in the 80s? Any other famous people?
Oh, I'm choking.
And Vince Lombardi. Nope. Okay, Super Bowl losers. How many do you think we got, Shane?
Super Bowl losers. I'm scared the card is going to have like a date next to it, and you're supposed to name the year and date. I have no clue, but I said Bills 4 times.
Okay.
I think the Bills are going to be on there 4 times.
All right. I bet we got 3 answers right. That seems generous. I don't know.
It's going to be like refs coaching or refs, the name of the refs.
There could be people who lost money betting in Vegas.
If it is teams, we didn't even say Steelers. Oh, whatever.
There's a lot of teams we didn't say.
There's a lot. Yeah, I know.
How many are there? 34, 32, 31?
Is it 32?
I don't know.
28. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, I'm
People at home were like, you idiots.
I'm gonna say we got 8, and it's gonna be teams, and the Bills are gonna be on there 4 times.
That is your most optimistic guess we've ever had in this game.
I don't know what
you're
else
the
it could
person who
be.
says 1,
and I'm right,
and you're usually right. So 8. Okay, here we go.
I'm just so curious.
So those of you listening at home, who did we forget?
Super Bowl.
This is your last chance to turn to the person in the car next to you or on the walk next to you and be like, I bet they forgot this one.
We forgot a lot.
These are just teams. This is so dumb.
I love it.
All right, number 1, Minnesota Vikings.
I said Vikings.
Number 2, Los Angeles Rams.
We said Rams.
Number 3, Cincinnati Bengals.
We did not say Bengals.
Number 4, Baltimore Colts.
Oh, they were the Colts.
Baltimore Colts. I said Ravens.
Yeah,
half a credit?
but no.
Okay.
If we just would have said Colts, I would have.
Yeah. Okay, number 5, Denver Broncos.
We did not say Broncos.
Number 6, Philadelphia Eagles.
We did not say Eagles.
Number 7, Dallas Cowboys.
We said
the
Cowboys.
Number 8, the Kansas City Chiefs.
We did not say Chiefs.
Nope. Number 9, New England Patriots.
You said Patriots.
And number 10, the Washington Redskins. Now the Washington football team. No, now the Commanders.
Commanders. Yeah. Wow, that was on the easiest one we probably ever could have gotten.
We could have.
Our best chance of getting 10. Oh, we squandered it.
I love that it's just these are just teams.
What did we get? What was that? Was that 4?
You were keeping track. I don't know.
I reread them off.
Vikings, Rams, Bengals, Colts, Broncos, Eagles, Cowboys, Chiefs, Patriots, Redskins. top
we
four?
got 3.
That's what I guessed.
I will never forgive myself.
I love that there's no years on these. It's not how many times they've lost. It's just
they
the number
lost.
one losers are the Vikings. They're the worst. When people think of losers, the number one answer is the Vikings.
Everyone in Wisconsin is now a fan of 24-14.
That was something, Shane. Do you want one more or should we move on?
I'm a loser. I will.
A little Beck song. Could we get that sound effect in? I'm a loser, baby.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh, okay. All right.
In theme of the 80s.
All right. Well, we'll just push pause on that. We'll come back to a little outburst another time.
Cry later.
Today we're talking about thoughts and prayers. And by the way, this is not in reaction to anything.
No, there wasn't some terrible event that happened, and
there was. But
I mean, there always is. Yeah.
But how this came up for me today is that our church staff time today, we took time to pray. And I kind of walked us through, how long do you think that was? 15, 20 minutes maybe?
In total?
Yeah.
It was like 15 to 20.
Yeah, somewhere 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I provided a list of things that we might pray for and ask God to bless, starting with ourselves, to bless ourselves with, that God would give us. Here's my list. Peace, pray that God would give me hope, God would give me mercy, that God would give me joy, prayed that God would bless me with safety, that God would give me forgiveness, prayed that God would provide kindness from others, pray that God would bless me with contentment, prayed that God would bless me with friends, prayed that God would bless me with health, that God would bless me with grace, that God would bless me with rest, and then that God would bless me with daily provision. And so for about 3 minutes, that list of things is what we prayed for ourselves. Maybe once through, maybe halfway through, maybe 3 or 4 times through each one of those. So we prayed these things for ourselves. And then we prayed those things for somebody who's dear to us, somebody that we love or supports us, that is there for us, that, man, this person's good to me, and I want God to provide them with peace. Like, I love this person so much. May they have hope. And then we thought of somebody who, how would you describe that neutral one? Because you commented on that in a moment. What did we do?
Because, so I mean, we prayed for, yourself, somebody near and dear to your heart, somebody neutral, and that's somebody, I don't know, not enemy, but maybe enemy, but somebody.
So like the neutral one, it's like somebody that maybe you don't know all that well.
Somebody you barely think about. As best way to describe it, I don't want to sound like too mean, like I barely even think about this person, but we've all got those people in our lives of like, they're in a way part of your life, but they're not involved really in any way.
Yeah, maybe your neighbor 2 doors down, you don't even know their name.
But you know their face. You've seen them before. You've maybe waved to them. I don't know, maybe you talked with them. But like that kind of neutral people, it's just very like impactful to me. Of just like, this person in some ways has no significance in your life. If they move to Cancun today, you might not even know. But to take a moment to pray for them as a person, as an individual, as if they had some significance in this life. Imagine that.
What an idea.
Yeah, what an idea. It really is just really good for your heart, and just helps you remember that, even this random person you don't know anything about could have completely different views in life. Like, you pray for them in the same exact way you prayed for that nearest person in your heart. Yeah.
And then we prayed for people who are difficult or challenging or frustrating, or we don't like, or they're kind of antagonistic towards us, that God, would you give them contentment? Would you bless them with kindness from others? Would even that person be filled with hope?
I think for most people that's probably like the hardest one. I say most people, like it's definitely like hard for me, but I grew up in a church, and I grew up like quoting the passage of scripture of like, pray for your enemies, love your enemies. Like, so like in some ways I've had practice. Like,
but my experience is when we pray for our enemies, well, I don't think we usually do, but when we do, it's usually like, show them how much of an idiot they are.
Yeah, help them see things from my point of view.
Yeah, convict them of their wrong so that they would come to the right side of this thing, or help them learn to apologize.
Harden their heart. Like,
so praying for enemies, my experience is usually still like for me, as opposed to, God, I hope they have an amazing day. Not so like, and then they'll feel really bad about how they treated me. But no, God, just surround them with people who love them and encourage them today. Like I don't do that normally.
That's hard. It is hard too, especially like I think the one that it was hard for like me, like enemy or somebody who bugs you.
Yeah,
in
difficult
person. Yeah, it's like give them joy. Like they don't deserve that. Yeah. Like that's sinful. Like just like this. Terrible
the words
person.
Kind of get caught in your throat a little bit, like, ugh.
Yeah, like give them joy. Like, what? Like that's so foreign. That there's nothing in our culture that like would have you do that. Like,
yeah, I hope they have a peaceful night's sleep tonight. Like, I hope they're able to just put today's stress behind them and rest. Like, what an amazing thing to pray for somebody.
Like, what are you doing? Like, that's your foe.
Don't do that. Yeah,
defeat them. Like that's not how it's supposed to work.
Yeah. So what stood out from this experience for you today? Taking time to pray for yourself and ask God's blessings for you and the people you love and the people you pass by and the people that you don't enjoy their company.
Yeah, I know. I think the biggest takeaway from it is just such a reminder of like how much more like dedicated, isolated time I need in prayer. It's easy for me, at least, like maybe you listener at home have some routine of prayer. Maybe you pray before you go to bed. Maybe you pray before you sleep. Maybe you don't really have a routine at all. I don't know. I like to kind of like pray at night and just, thank the Lord for the day or whatnot else when I can. But to actually like set apart time. No, I'm wide awake. I could be doing so many other things with my time and my schedule. But like today, like there's so many things we can do. Like we're still at work. Yeah. Like today, like
it's a very busy time. We are very short staffed. We're not bored.
And like there's plenty of things we could have done planning. We could have been productive with that. But to take that time and to say, like, now we're just gonna sit together, pray on our own for people in our lives, for ourselves. Like that is important. That is really, really important. And I can't stress that enough. Like to people, don't like to be very intentional with prayer. Like to set that part of time, set that time and space apart in the same way you would before watching a movie, or like in the same vein in how you plan for activity, like just to do that for prayer. Like
it's really convicting. And
I know I say that too. I'm not good at. I am not good at that at all. Like I don't.
Yeah. Like, how much time this week, day, month have I spent streaming digital content versus like loving my fellow man? like it's 1,000 to 1.
And to think like how much better I would feel if I did that too.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. The world would be a better place, and not just the world, but you yourself would probably like feel lighter and freer. And
oh my goodness, yeah. So it's like I feel so dumb.
It's hard. It's not our routine.
No.
What stood out to me doing this was so again, I'll read through the list briefly as people are listening, but we prayed for peace, hope, mercy, joy, safety, forgiveness, kindness from others, contentment, friends, health, grace, rest, daily provision. I just kind of made up a list. Like these are good things that are part of life. It wasn't some prosperity, name it and claim it, but it was just, what would it look like if I want all those things? I think these are all good things that I would want for myself. And what would it look and feel like if I wanted those for others? And that sort of other centeredness or focusing on others was really impactful for me, thinking about like, oh, that other person needs hope in their life. Or what if they had rest? All of a sudden, they were more human. Like, it's not just my kids annoying. Mm-hmm. I love my kids, but they're annoying. And I love my coworkers, but they're annoying. And I love my neighbors, but they're annoying. Mm-hmm. Like, every single one of these people has challenges and fatigue and, difficulties. And what if I wanted peace for them and rest for them? Mm-hmm. It just gave me pause of, that's a person. Yeah. I'm not the only one with stuff. Like, every single person's going through stuff, and I want them to have joy. Anyway, it was a beautiful kind of shared humanity thing.
It really, like that's the best thing you can do is share that humanity.
Good.
Well, and just and you said before while we were doing this, I just absolutely love just one. I think it's great for your heart and soul and mind and body to be able to pray for. I think the people you love, but also the people who are neutral and the people who are hard to get along with. But how good that is, not only for yourself, but if they knew too.
So there's a lot of layers to this because, so I would say, Shane and I are both Christians and we believe there's a God who answers prayer. So on the religious faith side of things, what if there's actually a God who actually hears and answers our prayer? And what if I'm praying for contentment for myself, for my wife, for my coworkers, for my neighbors, for my community? Like, wouldn't it be great if we were all actually more content? Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Mm-hmm. So maybe God answers that prayer. Like, that's a win. But even if I think if you put that aside, and whether God answers the prayer or maybe there's no God at all, but if I want contentment for you, and I want joy for you, and I want rest for you, and I want peace for you, like that impacts our relationship, I think.
Yeah.
And because me wanting it and thinking it probably needs to happen before I ever say it. Like and by the way, what a gift to be able to say that.
Yeah.
That was my revelation today, was I would love it if my team came up to me and said, hey, Pastor Dan, we see you're working hard and we want you to have rest. Know that we are behind you and we are rooting for you to be rested and to it would give me joy to know that you had rest and peace in your life. Oh wow, thank you.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That didn't do anything. Even if God said no to your prayer, kind of thing. Just knowing that you thought about me, and hey, I was hoping today that you would have hope in your heart and be filled with joy. Wow, thanks.
Wow. Yeah, oh my God, that's incredible. I must be cared and loved for.
Yeah, that's another way of saying I love you. I want good for you.
Yeah. And it's just how often do we, have those interactions, and also how many people ever hear that ever in their lives?
The actual kind of spoken affirmation of well-wishing and good things from others.
Yeah, and that's what really tickled my heart a little when we were talking about the neutral people, thinking about somebody who is somebody who's probably never heard that in their life. There's just so many people I could pray for by name who they probably don't hear this ever at all, maybe in their whole life. Hey, I hope, I was praying for you that God gives you peace and joy in your life. My goodness, can you imagine how that would change people's lives? Yeah.
Yeah, and little everyday things like safety. I was praying for you this week that you'd be safe in all your comings and goings and doings of things, that you'd be safe in the midst of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think saying that to another person would be a significant gift and would be an expression of love. But some of these things aren't just, you cross your finger or heart or you hope it happens. I think we could work towards some of these in each other's lives. Like we can actually be active in love. But in order to do something, I might need to think about it first. That sounds so obvious and dumb to me, but hey, if I want to be an agent of hope in the world so that other people had hope, maybe that's something God is calling me to or working in my life, I should probably think about that and want that if I'm ever actually going to be able to do anything about that. I'm not going to do anything if I don't think about it or want it.
Yeah.
And so if I want you to have more peace, Shane, mm-hmm. I could pray to God about it. I could affirm that to you. I could tell you, hey, I want you to know, Shane, I hope you have peace in your life. And maybe somewhere along those prayers and saying that to you, maybe I realize, I can be part of that. Hey, is there anything I can do to contribute to more peace in your life?
To help you feel that. Yeah. That's so true. It's just and I think that could be part of God's answer in the prayer. I think, how he uses us, how he uses the world, like as if I say as if God is all powerful and almighty. If you pray for joy for somebody, he can give that to you instantaneously. But maybe the joy that you're praying for this person has to come through you, and that's why God has put that on your heart to pray for that person.
Yeah, and I'm going to be so much more likely to work towards joy in their life if I've thought about them. The odds of laboring to help someone experience joy that you haven't thought about, it's zero. Maybe you're just a happy-go-lucky guy and you're always making everybody laugh and smile. But, if you're actually thinking about a certain person regularly, hoping for joy in their life and praying for joy in their life, that might actually lead to some action and activity that's going to bring joy in their life. But if you've never thought about them, never prayed about it, never wished it upon them, the odds of you just spontaneously adding joy are a whole lot less.
Yeah. If you've never thought about it or even cared about it, if you want the complete opposite from that person, then
don't think about them. Just ignore them.
Yeah.
Don't.
And in fact, your thoughts are I hope they never feel joy again. They're probably not gonna. That's probably not helping.
And that might actually be what happens. By the way, you wishing away their peace might end up taking away their peace.
Yeah.
You win. Congratulations. They're miserable.
Maybe this Jesus guy knew what he was talking about. I don't know. I also really love the scripture that you use to help set us up for that time of prayer. I would love to just even read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's great. So the first one you had was 1 Timothy 2. I don't know the verse.
I left the verses off. You got to just dig it around the chapter.
Yeah, listeners got to do their own research. But 1 Timothy 2 says, "First of all, then I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, for kings and all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. This is good, and it is pleasing in the sight of God, our Savior."
Oh, beautiful.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, it's just
synonyms for prayer. So supplications is a supplicant is going before a magistrate, with open hands and asking for help. So asking for things. Prayers, intercessions is when you pray on behalf of someone else. And then thanksgivings is just sort of, hey, thank you.
I genuinely was curious. I had an honest a pastoral question about that, because maybe it's just translation, but when I read that, first of all, then I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people. For me, that's umbrella, that's all under prayer, but it's also divided in this passage of there's supplications, prayers, intercessions. I thought prayers was through supplications.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think sometimes there are lists in Scripture that are, and there's probably a fancy word for this, sometimes they're just generic synonyms that, just there's a lot of overlap. Other times they are like unique categories. I don't think Paul is saying there are 1, 2, 3, 4 kinds of ways we need to approach God on behalf of all people and authority, and you need to do each one of these 4. I think there's overlap, but I think the nuance does give us some. It invites us to think differently. So supplications is like asking for something. So now I'll take my daughter Alexis here. If I'm praying for Alexis, I might ask for things for her, like give her safety, give her good friends, give her wisdom, give her peace. Or she has a test this week that she's not feeling great about. So I'm asking for something. So prayers, I think, is a more generic, just praying for them. Maybe that's like bless them or be with them or love them. Intercessions is like when you are interceding on someone's behalf. So, if there's a story from the Civil War where the soldier needed to get to the White House and he couldn't, and then he was like in the park by himself, and this little boy goes, "Oh, well, follow me." And the boy walks around the back of the White House, and the soldiers all stand and salute, and he walks into Abraham Lincoln's office, and Abraham Lincoln says, "What can I do for you, Todd?" And Todd's like, "Well, Dad, listen to the soldier." He had access where somebody else didn't. So somebody needed something that you can make. It's like signing a petition on behalf of someone else.
Yeah.
So intercession is like a mediator or an advocate. Maybe somebody's sick and they need somebody to advocate for them in the system. So intercession is like advocating. And then thanksgiving is just being thankful and grateful for this person.
Yeah, we know what that one is.
So he says, so supplications, prayers, intercession, thanksgiving for all people. But then he highlights the people who are in authority. And then here's why: that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. I love the phrase, "This is good." and it's pleasing in the sight of God our Savior. Like, God is delighted when we get to live a peaceful life, just quiet. It doesn't mean just quiet, but it means like calm, like serene. Dignified.
I kind of reading this multiple times through now, that passage, because it means so much like more to me now. Just like not like strictly political, but I don't know. I know Christians, certain Christian sects of the faith, I kind of want to take the nation back and kind of be all Christian, and when Christ comes, every knee will bow. And I on some, I don't know, level of it, I kind of get it, but it's always just so we're going to war and we're taking everyone back. Be Christian. Everyone's darn it, believe in our faith. But just the way this passage reads out, the kings and all in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life. It's just so opposite of just boisterous, loud, and high energy, praise, which I think there's a time and place of just absolute joy in life, and celebration in that, but just to be led in a peaceful, quiet manner, it's just so opposite.
God wants us to have a full, rich life that is full of joy and life as He created it, and that might mean having a meal with friends out on the deck and laughing. That might be the most alive I've felt this month, is just having a conversation with friends around food. Like, I've traveled the world and spoken in front of thousands of people at a time. Like, cool. And I've loved that. But to do a puzzle and have a slice of cheesecake with friends, like, that's better. Like, every time. That's awesome.
It really is. It's just like the simplicity of like the life of life when things are just absolutely human.
So some of those kind of human, ordinary life is what helped me with that list of things to pray for. Like, pray for contentment. Like, what a beautiful gift to have, and for other people to have, and kindness from others, and rest, and health.
I've got so many thoughts, but I'm like, I never know. It just reminds. I don't know. I saw a data statistic point of I say people. There was a survey for older people that they asked, like, what were the best times of your life? Like was it when you were a kid? Is it like when you were retired? Maybe near, like, what was it? And most of the people said it was like in their 30s, around their 30s and 40s, like in between that time, like your body's not at your best, and like it seems weird. But I think they attribute it to, like, but that's when you had the most responsibility in your life, and you were living out your vocation. You're living out your job and purposefully.
Have you seen that? There's a Netflix little mini documentary, something about blue zones?
No.
So it's a little study on parts in the world where a statistically kind of abnormal percentage of people live to be 100 years old or more. Mm-hmm. And so there are these little pockets all around the world where more than normal people live to 100 and beyond. And so it's like, why? What is it about it?
Yeah.
And so he goes to all these different cultures and villages, not even like these little like pockets of people. Like, he observes and
not just like they had the best medical advancements, and
maybe that's part of it, but it's more like, why are people in this village outliving everyone else in the world?
Yeah.
And in one of the first episodes, it was that sense of like they have purpose and they have a job and they know what it is. But that happened even into retirement, and like they were laboring and they knew why and how it served the good.
That's so cool.
And I was talking to my daughter about it yesterday that, I happen to be an American, and for most of my lifetime, America has been one of the wealthiest countries in the world. It doesn't mean we're better. It just means that's what it's been.
Yeah.
But the reality is we have, I don't think in my lifetime, ever been the happiest country in the world or the healthiest, like emotionally, relationally, or living the longest.
Yeah.
And so the things we think make us happy and like a good life, we objectively have never had in my lifetime. Like, I remember going on a mission trip, and these poor kids in Belize with a deflated soccer ball were happier than my kids with their iPhones. Like, by far. Like, they had less medical, they had less education, they had less stuff.
Nothing to their name.
And like they were way happier and might live longer. So so it's just that the idea of vocation and purpose and serving.
Yeah.
But as you're talking about different stages of people, going back to our sort of well-wishing thoughts and prayers, it made me think, so people live at all kinds of different stages and different situations in life. And it made me think, what would it look like for me to pray like in their interest at this stage? So I visited a woman from church last week, Dana, in a retirement facility, care facility, nursing home. I forgot what they call
something like that.
But her husband died a few years ago. Her kids live far away, and she's in this facility. And so, what would it look like for me to pray for her well-being and to wish her the best?
Yeah.
So I could write best wishes or thinking of you, and that's fine. But what if I did? Like, what if I wished for her best or prayed for her best or actually thought, what would a full and rich life for her at this time mean? And I really do think a lot of these same things on my list: peace, hope, mercy, joy, safety, forgiveness, kindness from others, contentment, friends, health, grace, rest, daily provision. I think I could probably add purpose. You're talking about like jobs,
Purpose.
Like, pray that they would have like a sense and a confidence that they matter and that they have a purpose here. They're not just waiting to die. And that's as true for an 8-year-old as an 88-year-old.
Absolutely. Like what am I doing with my life? Like what am I supposed to be doing? Like,
and like when I thought purpose, I'm thinking of like their action towards others. So maybe another word would be like worth. Like I want them to know, like have a sense of their worth as a person.
yeah.
Beyond I'm a contributor to society, or beyond you're a great musician and that's why you matter at St. Luke's. Like no, you have worth and value because of who you are, not what you do.
Yeah.
What else is on not on this list that if we were going to send thoughts and prayers for someone, whether it's yourself, someone dear to you, the stranger at the coffee shop, or even somebody you don't like, what are the kinds of things that we could, have a kind of new age word like intentions for them? Like what would we intend towards them, or well wish for them, or as Christians pray for them? That like, if we actually prayed for it, it might be good for our soul as well as good for their life.
Yeah. See, that's hard because you wrote like all of
I got a lot on there. Like laughter. I mean, that's something I love. I really value. Like, God, I hope they get to laugh today.
Yeah. I mean, just general emotions. Like,
what do you mean by that?
I think to feel general like emotions, like
like permission or safety to kind of express what they're feeling.
I think permission, safety, and understanding as well. I think there's plenty of people, myself included, like they don't understand, or like we don't understand our own emotions to understand like no, I am sad. Like, yeah, I've got like this weird feeling, like I just don't know how to grasp it, so you just ignore it. But like to understand, like no, you're sad, and it's okay to be sad, and you should be sad. Like,
yeah, I added the word like name, like help them to name and understand and feel their feelings. Like I'm feeling this, and that's okay, and like I'm not my feelings, but my feelings are real.
Yeah, and. Yeah, I've seen, like, I see it. Like I genuinely see it. Like it's good to process through your own emotions, but there's enough distractions in our world that like you don't have the time, or you don't think you have the time to like even process your own feelings or emotions. And I think it dehumanizes ourselves like when we do that, because like that's part of being human. Like we're separate from animals and other things. Like we have these feelings, and like it's okay to feel that. Like
I love that. I love it because it's also I'm trying to think of ways to pray for people that aren't self-centered for me. Like help Shane figure out how he could do his job better to like make me look good. Like or help this person figure out how wrong they are. But I could genuinely go through my family or the staff and say, dear God, help Shane this day know and express and feel what he's feeling in a way that is good for him and is true. And then, dear God, help Alice name and express and feel what she's feeling in a way that's good and healthy for her as you've made her. Dear God, help Kim name and express and feel what she's feeling today in a way that's good for her and honors you.
Yeah, like to actually just name. And I think just like on a complete like human perspective too, like if you were to take, God forbid, God out of the equation, like
this is still good.
This is still so good to just like, hey, if you're able to like, if they're just able to process that and know that, like, naming it, like I don't know, like an addiction or like a serious problem somebody might have in their life, like you're a chronic smoker or drinker, like name it, understand it first, and just be there. Like,
so that would be another one who could be something like, acknowledge their challenges and have a clear next step. So, whether it's my 9-year-old son, dear God, help him to acknowledge his challenges and have a clear next step. And then my 12-year-old son, God, help him acknowledge his challenges and have a clear next step. And my 13-year-old daughter, God, help her acknowledge her challenge, like be safe to name what's not good, but to have a next step forward in hope. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's beautiful. Friend listening, we just have a conversation here. We didn't know where this is going. We're just the idea of caring for others in prayer, thoughts, and well wishes, even if you don't believe in God. The idea, I think, of wishing good things on another person can really validate their humanity and our connectedness.
And just understanding people's humanity. Like, it's just like just because they believe everything you hate and they're passionate about the complete opposite things of what your faith might be or what your faith isn't or whatever, doesn't make them less like a child of God and made in his image.
Right.
Like, they're still just as human as you, just as broken as you. Like, I'm using like the people who might annoy you in life, but even just anyone in life, though, just to understand, feel that humanity.
Yeah. And that flow and how we as a staff today prayed it, of praying for ourselves is good. Like it's a holy and godly thing. And to take those same things that I want for me and to want, to wish, to intend, to pray for those things for people that I love and value, that highlights the sharedness of this. And then that neutral person or the frustrating person, for me, this sort of sequence and intentionality of asking for the same things really helps level the playing field, so that it's not, God, help me save money for the new car and help my kids behave and help this other person figure out why they're being a jerk to me. Like, those are fine prayers, by the way, but there's something about asking for the same thing for me and the other, that when I want the same thing for us, all of a sudden we're on the same level.
I mean, that was literally one of the scripture readings this Sunday at the time of this recording. It was like love one another, like do unto others as you would do unto yourself. Like, prayers as well.
So pray for other people for the same things you are praying for yourself. That was striking to me, of just how impactful that would be. I don't know how to put better words on that, but the things I want for me that are good for me because I'm a person, maybe some of them are very specific to my situation, but a lot of them are part of a larger umbrella or could fit. Like, I want to laugh today. And how cool to be. Hey, listeners, like, pray for me and Shane, by the way. Pray for some of these things. What if we had a couple dozen people, whoever listens to this, or 6 of you, or 3,000 new viewers this week alone, praying that, God, I hope Dan and Shane get to laugh several times this week. That would be awesome.
And even like, I'd feel blessed by that. And similarly, like, probably the demographic of our listeners, like that one coworker who is not a Christian, in fact hates Christianity and doesn't like your faith and what you believe, pray for joy in their heart. Like, pray for them, like for health,
exactly,
safety.
So I think it's good and appropriate to pray like that, help them come to faith. Cool. But also, like, God, help them just have a great night's sleep and wake up refreshed tomorrow. Like, that's good. Like, that's a good thing. It doesn't have to be so that they hear the gospel. Like, okay, great. That might be in God's plan for tomorrow, but he also cares about life. So in the Apostles' Creed that we say around here, I believe in God the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth. When Martin Luther explained that for kids and families, he said, what does this mean? I believe that God has made me and all creatures, that he's given me my body and soul, my eyes, ears, my reason, and all my senses, and still takes care of them. He richly and daily provides me with all that I need for this body and life, without any worthy merit or worthiness in me, only out of divine fatherly goodness and mercy, because he loves us. So God doesn't just give rain and bread and sunshine so that we eventually make it to church. He wants all people to have a relationship with him through faith in Jesus. But he also blesses us because we're his creatures. And that's true of every single person you will have ever seen or met or heard of or passed by or ignored or hated or stepped over. God intends good for them. And they're a person.
Same way as you and me.
Yeah. All right. I don't know how to do this regularly, Shane. That's one of my next steps, is to think about not just how might I add to this list, but how can I make this a regular part of my life? So we took 15 minutes as a team today, and that felt really weighty and lengthy. I also realized that's not even the length of the shortest sitcom on Netflix.
Yeah, my attention span's not that long.
So to pray 15 minutes, that's crazy. It might be, but maybe it's 15 minutes once a week, and you put it on your calendar right now.
Maybe you put it to 2 minutes, a minute.
Yeah,
and then I could actually keep going.
Or I'm gonna find 3 or 4 things to pray for myself, and go from there.
I would even say, if you're new to prayer, if it's still weird for you, I say try praying before you take a bite of your first meal. Just say, thanks, God.
Yeah.
Start basic. I really just, there's no right or wrong.
Yeah. And I'm this feels like I've been living in Washington State for too long. And if you have complaints, direct them to Shane Wilter at stlukeschurch.com.
P.O. Box.
But I think there's this idea of intentions that people you set a positive intention for the day. I think it's okay to have thoughts and prayers, sending good vibes. That's not always, I think you can be a positive person who's not a Christian. What I'm trying to say is you can do good things and not sort of be a fully pious, faithful Christian, but it can still be good. So if you are having a morning cup of coffee tomorrow and you want to take 3 minutes and have positive wishes for people in your life, I'm not saying you're even praying in the name of the triune God. You might not be a Christian or a person of faith at all. I still think that's a good thing to do. Have your cup of coffee and say, universe, I hope my boss has a great morning. Or maybe not even a universe, you're just thinking it in your heart, this intention, or you're saying the words aloud. May the people on the road today be safe drivers. May all the kids get home safely. May the teachers have energy for the task before them, because I know it's hard. Take a minute and have those positive thoughts about others, because I think that's going to help us meet one another as humans better.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe God actually answers your prayer.
Who knows? Maybe he just might.
Yeah, he really just might. What if God heard that prayer and answered it? That's pretty. I could do that during my cup of coffee in the morning. I don't have to be scrolling. What if I had 10 minutes of thinking of others before I picked up my phone? Maybe don't set a timer. Just have 1 cup of coffee's worth. However long it takes you to sip or chug a cup of coffee, have 1 cup of coffee's worth. And tomorrow morning during your coffee, think of others. See what happens.
Yeah, the thing I'll say too is the one that somebody told me recently, which I haven't done yet, and I'm the worst. Is literally schedule it. If it's too hard or you don't think you will, just put it in your calendar. Put a time in. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 3 minutes, 30 seconds, whatever. Just pray. Pray for blah. Put it in your calendar.
Or during your lunch break, you don't have to watch YouTube. You don't have to go to social media. You can look out the window and think of people, or maybe one person. I mean, think of one person that you love, that you saw and ignored, who's really hard to deal with, and instead of grumbling about him and playing all these scenarios about how they should have done this or what they might do next time, what if you want good things for them for your whole lunch break? My guess is your interaction is going to be different afterwards.
It's going to be very different.
Yeah, and even if their attitude, actions, behaviors don't change at all, maybe the change in you is all that needed anyway. If, oh yeah, they're a person.
And if there's no change in you or them, at least we have a hope that God really is really listening and is changing their heart.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a poet. Go to his website, Written to Speak, Tanner Olson.
Oh, yeah, Tanner.
He's got a number of cool stickers because he's a cool guy. And there's one in our office I think Alice has in her candy dish. It's something like, your kindness is never wasted. Or I think that's what it says.
I have no idea.
I think it says your kindness is never wasted. And so even if there's no change in you, no change in the situation, to have a kind disposition towards someone is never in vain. Yeah, your kindness is never wasted. So there you go, Shane. Thoughts and well wishes. Prayers, thoughts and prayers.
Wishes, thoughts and prayers, thoughts.
Sending intentions towards you.
Yeah, regards and prayers. All the different words. Obviously, there's infinite, I think, ways to talk about it.
What's your one takeaway from this, Shane?
Pray.
There you go.
I don't know. Could be deeper. Could be more complicated. But just pray. Pray about it.
Love it.
Give yourself some time. How about you? Your takeaway?
I think I'm going to try to think of others during my cup of coffee tomorrow. That's not like, from now until the end of days, my morning routine shall be. But no, tomorrow, when I have my cup of coffee in the morning, I'm looking out the window. Rather than having a book or my phone in hand, which is usually what I do, it's one of those two, I'm going to have my first cup of coffee and try to think of others. And for me, that means I'm going to try to pray for other people with some of these things. So I might end up picking one or two of these things to pray for and then praying for lots of people. So that whole idea of to name and be okay to feel and express their feelings. Like I might pray for everyone I could think of with that prayer. Or I might think of one person, my grandma, and then like pray for as many of these kinds of things as I can think of for my grandma. So I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm gonna tomorrow with my morning cup of coffee, I'm gonna think of others in probably one of those two ways.
At least gonna try to make the effort.
Yeah, see how it goes tomorrow. So you can ask me, by the way, Shane, or listeners, you can say, how did that go? And knowing that you might ask me will probably help me follow through better.
It is good to have that.
So the word accountability can sound scary, but honestly, if I had a dozen people on Sunday say, hey, did you do the thing? Whether I did or didn't, the next morning I'm going to for sure. Yeah. And that might be good for me and my grandma and the world.
It's a good kind of peer pressure.
Yeah. It's like we're built to be in community.
It's like we're built to spur each other on.
Yeah. All right, Shane, thanks for the conversation.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks to the Minnesota Vikings for being the worst. The worst of the worst of the 80s.
Of the 80s outbursts.
Of the 10 worst Super Bowl losers, they were the worst.
Yes.
I wonder, by the way, do you think there was some like epic loss that neither one of us know about?
I mean, the Vikings just are a cursed franchise.
Okay.
They would probably even say it too. I feel bad for him, even as a Packers fan.
But I wonder, like the Seahawks had that fumble or the interception on the 1 yard line, to lose the Super Bowl.
See, if this were made in like 2016, maybe.
I'm just wondering if there's a story behind each of these besides they're just terrible. Who knows?
Probably
All
both.
right. Thanks to the Minnesota Vikings for sponsoring this episode.
Thank you, listeners, for listening.
And thanks, YouTube viewers, for viewing and commenting below. All right. We'll catch y'all next time.
Thoughts and prayers.
That's the end of the episode, but we want to continue the conversation. Continue the conversation by sharing this episode, subscribing, or leaving a review. Connect with us on Instagram at 2414podcast. Connect with us through email at 2414@stlukes-church.com. Or best of all, keep the conversation going by inviting someone to process with you so that you can each walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. If you happen to be in the Seattle-Tacoma area of Washington, stop by on a Sunday morning and say hi. 2414 is a podcast produced by St. Luke's Lutheran Church in Federal Way, Washington. To find more content, discover upcoming opportunities to connect in person, or to support the show, head on over to stlukes-church.com. Thanks for walking with us.